make fun of all these attempts to have spoken Sanskrit, Sanskrit Bharati and things of that sort, because many of them aren't able to pronounce properly, so they feel left out. They don't have the power when there is spoken Sanskrit going on. They can read with a dictionary, and so they're threatened maybe by the rise of spoken Sanskrit. So there are two terms that have been invented. One is called political philology, and one is called liberation philology. Philology is the study of texts to make sense out of it. So when somebody gives you a text, how do you make sense? How do you come up with its meaning? That's the science of philology. And political philology is a term that this group have coined, and political philology is looking for political motive in the text. So it's very clear that that's the name, political philology, that you should look for political motive in the text. Who's the exploiter? Who's being exploited? What is the domination discourse? So it's got to be like that. Liberation philosophy is liberation philology is how do you modify the text, the Shastra, how do you use it to liberate the downtrodden. So you study the text using political philology. That is the Uttar Paksh, the Purva Paksh they are doing to us. Their Purva Paksh of us is through the lens of political philology, and they're training a large number of Indians, Marxists, leftists, to be able to do political philology on Sanskrit texts. And then after you've done the political philology, you uncovered the problems, exposed all the problems. Liberation philology is their Uttar Paksh, which means how to turn the texts as weapons to fight. So how to create the downtrodden movement to fight using the very same text as your weapons. So this is very, beneath this, unless you are exceedingly serious reader and you are devoting a very large amount of time to study these texts, you are not going to understand all this. Because it's written in very heavy language, and not only the English is complicated deliberately, but the references are to their own philosophers. So they will refer to some Frankfurt school of Marxism. Nobody in India, our traditional people don't know about it. There's a Walter Benjamin who's invented some theory that they're going to use. So it's like they're using their Siddhanta. And their Siddhanta, they're quoting their Shastra, their equivalent of Shastra. It's sort of like if an Indian was using our Siddhanta and quoting our texts of famous people and going on giving those quotations and theories to study some culture, those people would not know how to understand and how to respond to it, because they're not trained in that. So this means we have lost the frame of reference in which we are going to be studying. We've lost the frame of reference. Somebody else is studying using their frame of reference, using their Siddhanta, and we've been allowing it to happen. So this now has reached a stage where few Indians, a small number of Indians in the few dozens, really understand what this particular Western school of Indology has done, but many, many more understand the one-liners, the slogans, the output, how to spin it. So there is a role for scholars, and then there is a role for journalists, activists who amplify the message. They don't need to understand all the details. They just need to know what's the bottom line. And they just need to know how to continue this. Yeah. So I will conclude by saying that this is a great opportunity for me to reconnect with people here, to give you a little overview of the topics of conversation this evening. And I'm delighted and honored that we have a distinguished panel here. I look forward to panel discussion. Thank you very much.
Dear friends, after the interesting and eye-opening talk by Rajeev ji, we have the panel discussion in which are participating Srimati Dr. S.R. Leela and Dr. K.N. Ganeshiah, and of course Rajeev Malhotra. Leela ji and Ganeshiah ji will be posing some questions to Rajeev Malhotra, and he will be answering them. And the time allotted for this is about half an hour, and this will be followed by a brief question and answer session of about 20 minutes. So if you have any questions, so please formulate your questions very clearly, very briefly, very crisply. So better to write your questions out so that there is thorough clarity for yourself. And we would like to encourage youngsters asking questions rather than our dear senior citizens. So by the way, I must make a small correction. A few of our publications, so including the book that was released today and the 3 volumes that have been made available now. So a few copies of the same have been kept outside for sale. So those of you who are interested, they are being given for a discount. And I know some of you would be very much interested in getting an autograph of Rajeev ji also. You may try your luck if he has time, and if you are like, yeah. So you may try. After the function is over, there is a display of books. You may try that. Now we shall start our panel discussion. Dr. S.R. Leela, Dr. Ganeshiah, and Sri Rajeev Malhotra.
Om Namah Sadase Namah Sadasaspate. Good evening, everybody. Such a fascinating program so far as I am concerned. Very interesting. Now, the book Battle for Sanskrit is not just Battle for Sanskrit, it is a book for battle for Bharat. So it's not just Sanskrit, it is a book about battle for Sanskrit, Bharat. So he has already brought out some of the salient features of this, both Mr. Ganeshiah and Rajeev ji have brought out. Now, in the panel discussion, I just want to thank and offer my gratitude to Rajeev ji because he is one of the true Kshatriyas we have today. True Kshatriya. Because just now he let us know what sort of a tough job he is doing there in the foreign land. We cannot be doing that, so he is fighting our battle for us. So that's a wonderful thing, sir. We are really very grateful to you for that. Now, I have gone through the book and he has made very pertinent points, very clear and extremely important points. And while making a critique of Sheldon Pollock's viewpoints, books and argumentations, he not only refers to his books, he has already spoken to him directly and he has found him extremely polite, very sincere scholar of Sanskrit, etc. And in one place, page number 19, he, in the Kannada introduction or English book, he has also told him on his face that he is generating, he is manufacturing, he is producing a kind of scholarship which is anti-Indian force actually. Sheldon Pollock is not just a Sanskrit scholar according to all that we know about him. He is also a political activist. He is an activist. He has been very, very active in opposing the present regime in India, and he is very close member of certain forces which are very active breaking India, and he is also one of the persons who signed the petition not to give visa to our present Prime Minister. So to that extent, I don't consider, of course there are many other things which Rajeev ji has already mentioned. So it's not just a battle for Sanskrit. Sanskrit battle is associated with the kind of forces they are unleashing to break India, which he has made clear in his other book, other book, Making India. And he has pointed out, and I was very happy to see that when Sheldon Pollock offered an argument saying that, see, I am not doing directly anything to break India, some such thing. He points out that you are creating a force under your tutelage, your guidance for that purpose. And this I find Acharya Magachati Shishya Doshaha. He is the Acharya who is guiding them. So this is a very beautiful, interesting statement which applies to the teacher and the taught. Very beautiful statement. So he is responsible for the Shishya Dosha and being an Acharya. That's one thing. And another thing I just wanted to point out is, he has already spoken about how they are very active and probing into the ancient Indian texts and also the theories to tell us that Sanskrit is abusive, Sanskrit is divisive, Sanskrit is dead, etc., etc. I just wanted to ask one thing. If Sanskrit is already dead, I think the influence of Sanskrit must also have been dead. Why they are engaging themselves in breaking India? Isn't it? And now, so it is not dead. Even the premise is it's not dead, it is a kicking force even today and it will not die. That also they know. Now, I just wanted to point out Rajeev ji. See, if Sanskrit were dead, even in India we have so many people who make this argument. Now, let me see whether it is dead or not. Just take it for a Purva Paksha, it's dead. Now, my name is Leela, sir. I am Leela. How do you understand this word? The Sanskrit meaning is, which of course is used in all our languages, the so-called vernaculars, they are all Indian languages which draw heavily from Sanskrit, and Leela means sport. Daiva Leela we all know, Divine Leela we all know, Leela means sport, Leela means grace, Leela Jala means very active, etc. Sir, your name is Rajeev, and that is understood only through Sanskrit. It's a Sanskrit name. Ganeshiah, we all know he is our God. Kannada is sitting behind. He is Lord Krishna, and Murali was of Vasanta Prakashana. You know what Murali is. So, maybe Venkatachaliah professor is here, the great judge of whom we are all very proud. How is it understood? Venkata iti achalaha. And Ayya, Arya, the revered Venkatachaliah. Achala is mountain. So, Venkata anno ಹೆಸರಿನ ಅಚಲ ಮೌಂಟನ್ ಗೌರವಯುತವಾಗಿ ವೆಂಕಟಾಚಲಯ್ಯ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಈಗ we can continue with this. ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನದ ಹೆಸರಾದರೂ ಹೇಳಿ, you can trace it back to Sanskrit. So if are we such stupid fools that we keep a dead name for ourselves, to call ourselves, to identify ourselves, to go through life? Are we such fools? So those who call Sanskrit, they should ask this question and turn it on themselves. We are not fools. So you can, the converse might be true. You can tell them. That's one thing I just wanted to point out. Another, Rajeev ji has very interesting, very beautifully brought out in all his writings, not only the point that not only the Western Indologies, they have a inimical purpose, they have a design, they have a dangerous calculation to destroy India, to create problems for India. They are so easily, so fluently followed by, obediently followed by Indian scholars. You know, most of them are there. And it is a global conspiracy. It is a geopolitical subject which touches upon the entire history of mankind, the civilized mankind. He was talking about some of the native people in America and Europe who are trying to connect themselves with their roots because even today they have not accepted this aggressive religions. So that's, I think he's going to write a book on that. We are all waiting for that, sir. Now, what I have found is, in this context, I want to quote one very interesting sentence from Bhasa, a great dramatist, previous to Kalidasa. In his Pratima Nataka about Ramayana, Pratima is about Ramayana. There is a sentence which comes from the mouth of Rama. Sharire arih praharati hridaye swajanastatha. When the enemy hits, it hits the body. When our own people hit, it straight enters the heart and kills us. And this is what is happening in India. And therefore, see, the force is such that we have to be equally forceful to combat these dangerous intentions. That is the outcome of it. And he has brought out how both Indians here and NRIs, very influential, very connected, well-connected, rich people, they are doing, whether knowingly or unknowingly, I don't accept the fact that knowingly perhaps they are doing this, they are creating danger for India. So in this context, I would like to point out one thing. See, in the legal context, those who are directly involved in an act, whether criminal or offensive act, not only those, but those others who support this act indirectly, they are also held guilty. Isn't it so? That is the legal position we are following. Now, what about these Indians and NRIs who are doing this? Should they not be held guilty of supporting the dangerous forces of India? Na kevalam yo shrunute, na kevalam yo mahataha apabhashate, but even those who listen to them, shrunoti tasmat sacha papabhag. This is Kalidasa. Not only those who are directly involved, but the legal luminary is there. So, it is there. So, this is one aspect. Now, in the background of this, I want to ask Rajeev ji one thing. Why are we, see, after so many articles written to actually not support, but against the arguments advanced by Shalak about India, about Sanskrit, about many things, how is it that we are still dignifying him by considering him a very great scholar? He is a scholar, but can we continue to do this? Why don't we tell him that he is no longer tenable? And for me, sir, you can answer this. For me, yathakaraha chandana bharavahi bharasya vetta natu chandanasya tathahi lokaha bahushastra yuktaha dharmena hinaha pashavaha pashubhis samanaha. See, you have mentioned it already. They have not realized the significance or our viewpoint or the quintessence of Sanskrit or India. But still they continue to do this. So, this Subhashita which I just quoted is meant for such people. He is loaded with scholarship, like a ass which carries chandana on its back. But it does not know the beautiful fragrance of it. It cannot enjoy. And such people who have no sympathy, let us leave sympathy, even the good intentions to understand the people, just as you mentioned, the framework, leaving the framework you are interpreting on your own, so how can this be accepted? And the Subhashita says, such people, dharmena vihinaha, pashubhis samanaha. You can just see what it is. Now, are we prepared to declare from the state of Swadeshi Indology